What is going on, fellas? I'm on a little mini vacation here, but we still have a Tampa Bay Buccaneers game to talk about. So, what else could be better? I got a little vacation. I'm on the beach here. I'll give you guys a little look-see of what we're dealing with. Um, just right on the beach here in a nice Airbnb. My fiance ended up winning a giveaway for this. So, we're staying at this place we were here yesterday and then we're here tonight as well. And she's got her stuff here. Her sister and their kids there, so it should be a fun experience here. We got a big time Bucs game. Some people saying not live on YouTube.
What? We're clearly live on YouTube.
Hold on, let's make sure we're in the right spot here.
There's people commenting on YouTube.
Yeah, people are commenting on YouTube, so hopefully it's working there, Christian. Okay, he says it's working now. Okay. Technical difficulty.
That sketched me for a second. We're good. We're caught. Appreciate you.
Danny, if you want to share your screen, we can start going through the site questions.
For those of you, I'll just let you explain it, actually.
Yeah, for those of you guys that are curious, if you're trying to super chat right now and you cannot, we are no longer accepting YouTube super chats. The only way you can skip the line to get your question answered now is by asking questions onto the site. But as on the bright side, we will probably get some more free questions as a result. And this is a much better way to support us, as we've talked about on numerous occasions. But for those of you guys that don't know, you can ask your questions down below with flockfantasy.com. And then you go to the top right corner of the site where it says expert advice or ask a question. You can ask us a start sit question, a trade question, get your team reviewed, so on and so forth. And I'll drop the link actually to do that in the live chat. So if you guys do want to ask us a question, you can go ahead and do that. But we do have a couple loaded up already.
Yep, absolutely. Again, we do not accept supers like Corey mentioned. This is the way to skip the line. Obviously, you guys are going to be in the YouTube chat right now. We're going to go in order of the free messages. So those that were in first will get first come, first serve. And of course, like I just said, if you do want to skip the line, we do no longer offer super chats. So the one way to do it is by going over to Flock Fantasy. So do want to mention that the first one actually comes in from Jake, who actually we got a queue of them submitted before the stream. So I appreciate you guys for being active there. First one from Jake. He asked, hey guys, team is 4-0 going into the week, looking to make this deal with the 0-4 team. Thoughts? This is a 1 quarterback, 12 team start, 7 PPR league with no tight end premium in his redraft format. To me, this is very clearly the consolidation side of the deal. You want CeeDee Lamb, you want Sam Laporta. To me, this is a no-brainer because if I were to contextualize this, I would rather have CeeDee Lamb to Jordan Mason and Garrett Wilson combined rest of the season. And then I'd also rather have Sam Laporta to Devin Singletary and Dallas Goedert. Again, I'm assuming given the context that you're 4-0 and he needs depth, this is the perfect scenario where you're going to open up 2 roster spots. You're probably going to have solid waivers as well, knowing it's only a start 7 league. Like, this is a smash to me.
Yeah, not to mention there's a good chance you probably have good options on your bench that you never get to put into your starting lineup. I mean, as much as Sam Laporta is technically an upgrade over Dallas Goedert, he hasn't been great this year. So I kind of get that from the guy making the trades perspective, going after Goddard, getting Jordan Mason, getting Garrett Wilson. It makes a lot of sense for both sides. I think if you're an 0-4 team, you probably have to make a move like this if your team is in, injury hell or wherever his situation is.
Yeah.
So, but this is very clearly from your position, a win. When you're a 4-0 team in a start 7 league, if you're getting the best players, 2 best players, or 2 of the 3 or 2 of the 4 best players in the deal, it's definitely what you want to be looking at. And the best player overall in the deal is Lamb.
Yeah, I mean, best player overall in fantasy according to my ranking. So we will take that. We declare that the winner over on the site. Again, another perk of this as opposed to super chats is that it's a lot easier for us to determine a winner. Again, it's a lot more aesthetic, a lot more pleasing, especially when we're talking about it on stream. Honestly, just a way better alternative for both us and for you guys in terms of that versus super chats. So we'll click that side, go to the next question here. That's going to be from Zachary Jonas. And this is a lineup question, starts at decision. Doesn't have anything listed here other than the fact that this is a 10-team start 7 PPR league. Again, another perk. We can see the exact league settings for your league. He mentions here that he's set at wide receiver, set at tight end, set at his 2 running backs, and he's got some decisions in terms of the other parts of his lineup. So quarterback here, we're between Anthony Richardson, Justin Fields, and Baker Mayfield. It's a little bit tougher of a decision knowing that, of course, Baker does play tonight and we don't know the full injury status of Anthony Richardson. But personally, for me, again, you don't mention here if it's a 6-point or a 4-point passing touchdown. But regardless, I do have Anthony Richardson and Justin Fields very high for me to the point where if Anthony Richardson doesn't suit up, I'm more than comfortable playing Justin Fields on Sunday night.
Yeah, I mean, I would play Fields over Richardson even if Richardson is playing, to be honest. Yeah. I have Fields the highest of this group. So Field, like you said, I'm
that.
assuming it's a
They're
4
back-to-back
point.
for
That's
me.
usually the standard in most people's leagues. So I would play Fields, especially knowing you don't have any like stacking options that could be like potential tiebreaker. If you had like Mike Evans or Godwin, then maybe you lean towards Mayfield. But I think Fields is the best option against your defense in Dallas is completely decimated by injuries right now.
I
Like
mean, we're missing our top 2 edges. Like it's going to be
not
it's
only
going to be a
that,
high
but
scoring
Fields,
game.
exactly. And Fields is like, I mean, I don't necessarily think it's gonna be a high scoring game, but Fields is gonna have an easier time than he would have just on paper Cowboys defense. And it's in Pittsburgh. Fields is playing at a higher level than he has been, for the first couple of games. He kind of turned it on fantasy wise last week for us. So yeah, I think he's the best option there.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I mean, the Cowboys are pretty banged up on their defense right now. I mean, losing 2 of your top 4 edges, your 2 top edges is going to be a tough time. So we'll do that there. In terms of the flex in the wide receiver 2 position, basically you're benching one of, so I mean, okay, so we got the wide receivers here, and we also have Brian Robinson as a decision in the flex. I'll tell you right now, if Brian Robinson does suit up, which seems unlikely right now, he would be my pick. But unfortunately, he's been DNP in the last 2 days. Definitely something to monitor with that knee injury. If I have to make a guess right now, I'm assuming that he's not going to be playing in this game. 2 DNPs, man.
Yeah, I think this is Aiyuk for me, most likely.
I think Aiyuk would be a very good option here. And
I think you had another wide receiver option, though. If you scroll up to the top of
McLaurin. I would go with McLaurin. I would go with Aiyuk. DJ Moore would be the one riding my bench until I see more from the Chicago offense.
Right. The thing that I may disagree with you on, though, is that I think I might start Brian Robinson in the flex, and I would start Aiyuk over McLaurin straight.
I don't disagree. Now, I think personally that Brian Robinson isn't going to play, so that's why I would go with McLaurin and Aiyuk. Obviously, you're going to know that context because McLaurin and Ryan Robinson are on the same team.
Right. Yeah, that's a fair point. I think putting Aiyuk into the wide receiver spot makes sense then instead of McLaurin, because then you have the pivot to McLaurin if you need it to, if you need to go for it. I don't know. Maybe I haven't just been keeping up with the news as much on Brian Robinson. I didn't think it would be that severe of an injury. I guess Austin Eckler maybe needs to be rostered if that's the case, because
who's also coming off a concussion.
Yeah, but I think he'll probably clear the protocol in time for the game, unless he's still not practicing, in which case he may miss another game. And Chris Rodriguez might actually be a viable streaming running back option this week.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, it's an interesting spot, of course. Do we want to fill it with? Do you want to fill it with Brian Robinson and say pivot to Terry McLaurin, or should we just put in Terry McLaurin right now?
I'd rather play Robinson if he's healthy. So yeah, I'd go with Robinson first.
Okay, so we'll do this, and then obviously he'll understand and he'll know, like, hey, they play in the same game. I mean, he's obviously going to be watching this back, so you'll see this. If you're watching this right now, Zach, if Brian Robinson is fully healthy in this game, he's going to be the option that we go with. If he is out for this game, Terry McLaurin, obviously on the same team, the perfect pivot. So remember that context. Appreciate you for the super chat for the question over on the site. We'll go on to the next question here from Glowing. If it does load here, and perfect. Interesting offer. So he would be trading away Derrick Henry and George Pickens and would be receiving Breece Hall. He says he's 2-2, coming off a win, and the Hall owner is willing to accept, but just wanted to run it by you. Again, this is an 8-team start 7 PPR league, and an 8-team league, George Pickens is not very valuable, to be honest.
Yeah, well, and in PP, I think the key scoring format distinction is PPR versus non-PPR. Like Derrick Henry, as great as he is, and he's going to have games like he had against Buffalo, most likely. And there's a good chance we're eating crow and he's a top 6 to 8, 10 potential running back.
Probably is.
Season. But Breece Hall can be inefficient and still outscore him very easily in full PPR with the amount of targets that he gets.
And I will have to go on a little bit of a rant here, but like people are like talking as much crow as they could possibly get on Breece Hall right now. Like they're talking about
did anybody see the weather in that game? That's my question. Did anybody watch the Broncos game? How bad his footing was in that game?
And B, like I've seen reports like, oh yeah, his PFF rushing grade, his overall efficiency. It's like there's also a stat. I'm not sure if you looked at it, of the actual yards before contact per attempt between Braylon Allen's carries and Breece Hall's carries. Yeah. And it's night and fucking day. Like Breece Hall's not getting any push up front right now. And I'll tell you right now, it's a lot more impressive when a running back's creating the majority of their overall offense, knowing that they're not getting blocking up front. I mean, for example, the one that sticks out to me would be when we were evaluating Quinshon Judkins this year. Obviously from going from Ole Miss to going to Ohio State. understanding that just offensive line play and situational play is going to impact the overall value of carries you're getting is night and day. Because we looked at, for example, with Judkins, he was inefficient, quote unquote, low yards per carry, goes to Ohio State now, and the guy's ripping off 70, 80-yard touchdowns. Again, I'm not saying that's going to be a night and day switch for this Jets offensive line, but he's going to get better blocking up front, straight up.
Yeah, no, he's definitely going to get better blocking. And like, again, if you watch the Broncos game, coming into the Broncos game, he was averaging like 4 yards per carry. Like, it wasn't that bad. And also in week 2, he was over like 4.5. So it's not like people are pretending he's been terrible all year long. It's like, no, he had one bad game. Like, he had a bad game. And now everybody's pretending like it happened all season.
And I think Daniel makes a good point here. It's also just how defenses are playing Allen versus Breece Hall. Like, when Braylon Allen's in the game, I'm sorry, you're not game planning your defense to stop Braylon Allen like you are Breece Hall. It's just that simple.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's pretty straightforward. And yeah, again, in PPR, start like an 8-man league, like you want hammers. And in PPR, like Breece Hall's a hammer. If he does get efficient, he still has the ability to pace the entire running back position.
For sure. So we submit the Breece Hall side here. Very interesting deal. So this one is Kiren Williams and CeeDee Lamb in exchange for Breece Hall and AJ Brown. I think this is almost exactly fair, depending on how you look at it. CeeDee Lamb is the best asset in the deal, but I would make the case that Breece Hall and AJ Brown are the two middle assets. It just depends on your flavor between your valuation of how close is Kiren to Breece Hall and how close is AJ Brown to CeeDee Lamb. Because I think you can make the case either way.
Yeah, I mean, if you break it down, if you're in a position, like a winning position, potentially, I think Kiren Williams is definitely a pretty solid buy in those positions because once Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua are back on the field, there's a very good chance that Kiren Williams is just an absolute stud because among all running backs right now, Kiren Williams is like 3rd in expected fantasy production right now. So getting that type of workload, the red zone carries and all that kind of stuff that we know Kiren gets, if the offense gets a lot better, and it will just by Cooper Kupp's presence alone, and it appears he'll be back on the field, week 7, week 8 is the timeline that I've seen from a lot of fantasy docs. It makes a lot of sense here. Like, I actually could make the argument for both sides of this trade. I prefer the Breece Hall side, especially if you're in a winning position.
I'll add one caveat,
now, but it's close.
I'll add one caveat here. The biggest decider, AJ Brown is on bye. Breece Hall actually have ranked lower than Kiren for this week. Wait 1 week if you're going to make this deal. Because I'm telling you right now, CeeDee Lamb is my wide receiver 1 on the week. Kiren Williams is inside my top 5. And we already know AJ Brown is, of course, having his bye week. So I think personally, you might even be able to get a little bit of juice on top of this after this week.
Yeah, and Breece Hall, for what it's worth, has the worst matchup of any running back in fantasy this week, against the Minnesota Vikings. So, and it's a London game, which are usually wonky and low scoring. So it is possible you can pull this off a week from now. But if this deal is only on the table for 1 more week, I would make it personally. I think that Breece Hall and AJ Brown, the difference between AJ Brown and CeeDee Lamb to me is smaller than the difference between Breece Hall and Kiren. As much as I like Kiren, I agree that it's a pretty fair deal across the board, to be honest.
I would agree. Again, this is an 8-team league as well, so shooting for upside would yield this side. I just, like, again, if this is only on the table because, I have AJ Brown on bye, like, this is why I'm doing it, that's one thing. If you're able to make this after this week, I think that would be in your best interest because I project the Kiren and CeeDee Lamb to decide to do better in week 5 specifically. Yeah,
that's definitely a fair point for sure.
So do we want to give it this side for now? And obviously he can watch it back.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think so are you on Kiren CeeDee Lamb for sure on that side of the deal?
Yeah. I clicked that side. I clicked that as the winner.
Yeah, I would lean with the Breece and AJ side, especially if you were like 4-0 and you could handle eating a bye week on AJ Brown, but it is very close, like we talked about.
For sure. So the only known that we have in this lineup right now is that Breece Hall is a running back, and he also says 1 and 3 need a dub bad. Thank you. Okay, let's get you covered here. This is a 10-team start 7.5 PPR, so we'll keep this in mind when we're making our decisions. We see here that the options, AJ Brown's on bye, so he's obviously not getting in your lineup. I mean, we could just put Garrett Wilson in there.
Garrett and Flowers would be the 2 receivers for me.
Let me see where I have.
That game's a 50.5 point over under. The Baltimore Ravens are implied for a lot of points. It's got to be.
They were last week as well. I think I have Flowers as my number 2 here, but let me take a look as Addison is not far behind him.
Well, I think there's a flex decision potentially here too, so he might end up getting in the lineup anyway.
So Flowers I have as wide receiver 28, Addison at 30. So I actually do have Flowers as my second here. So
I have Flowers inside the 20.
I got to see him actually command some targets before I put him inside any closer than 28.
He had 10 targets in a row in the first 2 games.
The offense isn't throwing the football, man.
Because they've been killing the last 2 teams that they played.
Sorry, I just read this comment. I was kind of laughing. The smaller mustache boy always pivots away from the larger mustache boy's picks. I'm like, I've never heard of us.
I'm the smaller mustache.
I mean, I'm a big boy, so I'd assume.
Okay, I thought he's referring to my mustache as smaller, and I was like, I think my mustache can compete.
I know you got a pretty computable mustache. Sorry, I was just laughing the way that was worded. But Zay Flowers, I mean, we can make the case with, the target share, this and that. It's like the offense has not thrown the football, and until he actually puts on some production, I can't put him inside my top wide receiver areas.
Unless you think Derrick Henry is going to get the Ravens out to a lead on
he just might. He just might
week and break off an 87-yard touchdown every game.
Dude, he looks different right now.
He's
my RB2 on the fucking slate this week. He looks
great.
Different.
He's my RB1 on the slate this week.
I don't blame you. I have him. I think him and Mason are the clear RB1 and 2 right now, right? Like,
for sure.
Mason also goes up against I can't speak apparently. Mason also goes up against the same defense that allowed 2 40+ point performances from McCaffrey last week. So,
yeah. Well, and Kiren destroyed them too last year.
Yeah,
Kiren had monster games against the Cardinals.
I mean, Bowers obviously.
Bowers and pick there.
Running back, pretty interesting. I mean, like, it's going to be Mixon if Mixon plays.
I don't think Mixon's going to play, though.
Doesn't sound like he is. So, again, you're going to be watching this caveat. If Mixon plays, he's in your lineup. Assuming he doesn't play, I think it's got to be Zach Moss, right?
It would be Zach Moss.
Yeah, I mean, you don't even have a choice. Even if you had Irving over Moss, waiting for Moss and hoping that Mixon would come back would actually be the better play anyway. So we'll go with Moss, knowing that, looks like Mixon's out, but with that being said, Baker, or it's going to be Joe Burrow. I think I have quarterback 7 on the slate. Very advantageous passing matchup, pass funnel defense, obviously with what Baltimore's been this year. On top of that, I mean, the Bengals offense is just throwing at an absurd rate at this point, and Joe Burrow is putting up production. And anytime Joe Burrow is putting up production, you put him in your lineup.
It was a very good chance that T. Higgins has his bounce back game too, I think, this week.
For sure. So then we have our flex decisions. Again, very big caveat. Does Joe Mixon play or not? If Joe Mixon's playing, he's in your lineup. If not, we're going with Jordan Addison. I'm assuming you agree.
Yeah, if Mixon plays, is who do we have in the running back spot right now? Is Moss the flex over Addison if Mixon plays?
I think you go Moss over Addison specifically because it's the Jets. But they're like, honest to God, I don't even know if the Vikings offense has a matchup that can stop them right now. They look good.
And the other thing I would say is just like a tiebreaker is because you're starting Burrow, maybe you lean away from Moss just because those guys are kind of negatively correlated. But at the same time, it's a super high scoring game environment. Both guys can have good performance.
And I mean, Moss has had a little bit of receiving usage. I think he actually has a touchdown reception or 2 on the season as well. So, I mean, like, it's not like you're getting a complete nothing, like as if, I'm starting Lamar and Derrick Henry who literally eat into each other. I mean, they're dominant,
absolutely.
But so appreciate that. Again, make sure you listen to this through. If Joe Mixon plays, he would be in the lineup over, we'd say Jordan Addison over Zach Moss, right?
I would play Addison. I would play Addison over Moss just because they're a little negatively correlated with the quarterback.
Okay, it's fair. So we'll settle on that, capitulate on that. Again, appreciate the support over on the site, Jonathan. We'll go to the next question here from Bernard. Another lineup question, lineup decision. Listen, I love my guy Dak, but there's no way Jordan Love isn't in your lineup. He's my quarterback 4 on the slate. He's playing against a Rams defense that has seeded big play after big play. And judging from how we saw the Green Bay offense operate last week, again, it's not going to be a case where they're down big every week. But knowing that, losing Reed hurts. Reed's not hurt, is it? No, okay. Sorry, I was reading a comment. I got confused. Yeah, no, Jaden Reed is perfectly fine. Jaden Reed is perfectly healthy. One of the big reasons why Jordan Love is my quarterback 4 on the slate.
Yeah, sorry. I'm reading host layers. Comments are making me laugh here.
Should be called Brazilian wax.
You should be called Brazilian wax. That's crazy.
Christ. Oh man.
But anyways, what else do we got here? So Chase Brown, Kiren Williams, Jordan Love, Najee's the flex. Would you start Cam Akers over Najee if Mixon was out? Or no? No, it's too good of a matchup, honestly. Your defense sucks. Yeah.
Oh, you also have Jaden Reed. You're easily going with Love over Dak as well. But I don't know. Ferguson's going to be your tight end straight up.
Definitely. You do not need to roster 3 tight ends, by the way.
Yeah, get rid of Jonnu or Conklin.
Honestly, get rid of both of them.
Yeah, honestly. Jake Ferguson's literally a top 5 tight end for the rest of the season.
You're better off stashing and holding, Algier types or Bucky Irving types or whoever is available on waivers, Antonio Gibson types.
I mean, you're just going with Najee over Akers regardless, even if there's no Mixon, right? Akers has just looked horrific.
Yeah, no, exactly.
So I think we are pretty much set here. Again, appreciate the question over on the site. We'll go to the next one as well. We have about 7 more in here. So trade question from Bernard. Gibbs, Stevenson, wide receivers, neighbors, Nico Chase. Should I upgrade at starting running back since Stevenson been mid? Okay, so that's not the question, but first of all, I mean,
do not sell Jamar Chase for Josh Jacobs and Christian Kirk. Also, Danny, can you zoom in like maybe 1 or 2 times? Some people are saying they're having a hard time seeing.
Yeah. Sorry, apologies. I was actually on 80 zoom and I didn't even realize that. So that is on
there we
me.
go. That's a little bit better.
Bush in the corner, man, with the plan. Sorry. So this question is going to be Jamar Chase. I like Jacobs, but Kirk is just not a big enough needle mover for me to want to make this deal. Like, what would you
league too?
Like in a start 7, this would need to be like Javonte Smith, right?
I mean, even then, I might not do it in a start 7.
Yeah, no, that's definitely fair. I know Stevenson has been mid, and I don't feel great about him at all. But with that being said, this is not the way to break down your roster because, I mean, straight up, Neighbors is going to miss this week, first of all. So losing Chase out of your starting lineup is a big hole in its own right. Second of all, I mean, Neighbors, Nico Chase long-term gives you a positional advantage that nobody in the league can compete with.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, we could probably roll to the next question here.
Yep. Starts a question here. A redraft, 1 quarterback, 10 team start, 8 PPR league. It looks like he's just deciding on the flex and the wide receiver 2 spot. So in terms of the flex, we do see that it's Pittman, Najee, Algier, Dell, Amon-Ra, Dontavian Wicks.
Yeah, St. Brown's on bye. So
I mean, straight up, we're just going to put Wicks in the wide receiver 2 spot pretty easily.
Yeah, I think that Pittman is probably the guy that I would go with second there. I mean, Najee would be kind of close.
Him versus Dell for me.
I'm not putting Dell into my lineup. Coming off of an injury, he hasn't done shit all year. Like, I need to see him put up a decent game before I put him in my lineup.
And this is a full PPR. Yeah, I mean,
I think I would go Pittman. It's such an easy match. It's literally the easiest matchup in the league for wide receivers for Pittman there.
For sure. We will capitulate over there. By the way, fun fact. So I mentioned the man coverage stat for Jacksonville going into that game against Nico and the Texans. They actually completely changed the coverage that they were using. They ran basically mostly 2-man high or cover 2 shell against Nico Collins because you can't man that guy up. All that tells me is defenses are literally dictating what coverage they have to use against Nico Collins. Otherwise, they are going to get obliterated. And to be honest, it looks like they're getting obliterated anyways.
Yeah. No,
that guy's a fucking freak. I'm so glad I was so high on him, man. He's so good.
Yeah, you did glaze your way right into a good take there,
man. Michael, I think we actually were talking about something like this on stream, dude. If you can cash out Trevor Lawrence into McCarthy in 2-1s by this time next year,
you could make the argument that McCarthy and Lawrence are pretty much a wash at this point. I still really believe in Lawrence, but given what we've seen from Sam Darnold in this scheme, if you are a rebuilding team and you wanted McCarthy over Lawrence, I don't think that's an outrageous take. I think at the very least, it's like McCarthy in a second for Lawrence.
And he does add the caveat that it's actually a mid-25 first and a late 26 first. Even with that being said, I think you offered me McCarthy plus any first for Lawrence right now. I'm selling my bet.
Yeah, I would take McCarthy and anyone I would take over
very
Lawrence.
comfortably.
I still believe in Lawrence, and I still like Lawrence. I just think McCarthy and Lawrence are pretty similar.
For sure. Again, appreciate that. Also open to moving B-Rob out of the flex if one of the receivers is a better option. I mean, B-Rob, first of all, we're talking about, it may not even suit up in this game. So unfortunate there. Let's go through the other questions first before we actually go back. On this. A-Rich over Gino?
I have Gino over A-Rich.
I don't think we disagree. Let me check. I mean, obviously, it depends on the injury status. Like, if A-Rich is healthy going into the game, I think you got to play him against Jackson.
I would still play Gino because I still think, based on what I've read about the injury, it's a very big pain tolerance thing, and it is possible that one bad hit could jar it, and he could leave the game early. And I think just knowing that would leave a bad taste in your lineup, I would rather just play Gino in a great matchup against the Giants.
I had Richardson 9 and Gino at 11. So, like, honest to God, if you're worried about the risk factor, like,
dude, I have Richardson at like 14. Like, I thought there were so many good plays in the back end QB1 range that I'm like, you know what? I'll just put Richardson behind these guys because.
So, who do you have him ahead of? Mayfield?
Richardson or
Gino? Who do you have him ahead of? Because for example, like Mahomes is my quarterback 14 right now.
Yeah, I have Mahomes at that low as well. I think.
Do you have him higher or lower than Richardson?
Let me take a look really quick.
Because I have that range right now. 9 Richardson, 10 Fields, 11 Gino, 12 Prescott, 13 Mayfield, 14 Mahomes.
Yeah. So I have Mahomes at 13, one spot ahead of Richardson at 14, and Geno is at 11, one spot ahead of Mayfield at 12.
Okay, so you just have Dak dirt napped.
No, I have Dak at 9. Or
Oh,
10, sorry. 10.
Who do you have lower? Oh, Fields then? Who do you
I have Fields at 9.
Who do you have much lower than I do?
Darnold, probably.
Darnold's 15 for me.
Caleb
I have at 18. Darnold I have at 15.
I'm pretty sure we have the same guys. There's nobody that stands out as somebody I'm super low on.
So you have Richardson at 14, not 15, right?
14, yeah.
Okay, then everybody else is bumped up one. Okay. That's the only difference. So like our order is almost like virtually the same because I have Richardson 9, Fields 10, Geno 11, Prescott 12, Baker, and then Patrick Mahomes at 13, 14.
Yeah, look at this. I have Prescott higher than Danny for once.
Yeah. I mean, like it's a very close range. The only difference is where we have A-Rich, but like I would even agree too. If I had Dak and Geno, I'd play Geno this week. I mean, they're throwing the ball a ton and they have an easier matchup.
Yeah, that's definitely fair.
So yeah, we can capitulate to Geno just because we don't know the case of the A-Rich injury right now. Like you said, you're gonna call me crazy. Actually, wait, do I have Brian Thomas ahead of Aiyuk? I have Brian Thomas Jr. at 19 and Brandon Aiyuk at 18.
Yeah, I love Thomas, but I would not play him over Aiyuk. I think this is the Aiyuk get right game.
Okay, then you're playing him in the flex. I'm playing him over an injured B-Rob very comfortably.
Yeah, and then I would play Aiyuk as the other wide receiver. I'm cool going with that. It is hard to sit B-Rob with the way he's playing, though.
I mean, this is a very loaded team, to be honest. Like, you have a solid squad in a start 7 league, so good on you.
You can convince me.
You consolidate
over Brian Thomas.
I mean, like, dude, look at some of these bench spots, and he lost Pacheco. Like, can you consolidate some of this roster? Because like, this is a really good situation.
If you could if B Tom has a big week this week, take him and McLaurin and go shopping for an elite receiver or something.
For sure. Again, appreciate the support over there. Jay Fair, this is fucking ironic. This is ironic.
Not a trade. He said. Aiyuk was dropped by a taco. Is this an automatic spot to blow all remaining fab? It looks like he just showed the meme as the way to ask a general question. For what it's worth, we will have the functionality for you guys to just ask a general question, not necessarily a start sit or a trade question. If you just want to ask a general question, we will have that functionality for you guys very soon. But yeah, if Aiyuk is that, if someone's that stupid that they dropped Aiyuk, you blow every dime that you have on.
Yeah, go blow every dime for the fab. Again, appreciate the banter. If you guys know, shout out the Flock League, the best league in the world. You guys got to watch the content every single Tuesday because that is much watch stuff. I mean, what Sammy does with those edits, the clips that we submit in, we try to make it as entertaining of a product of you guys. Obviously, we can always go through it ourselves and, make our own content, make our own rankings, but we can't really show like our entertainment side. And on that channel, like, dude, I'm smoking Cubanos. I'm having a good time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm gonna amp up the entertainment side for me because I'm an underdog now. I'm 1-3, and I don't like it. I don't think I should be 1-3, but every day I'm gonna have to do a crying bit of me crying over the fact that I passed on Jefferson potentially, but.
You're going to have to, by the way. Shout out, by the way. Jose is actually in the chat, and this is his question. The trade wasn't unfair. Appreciate. I mean, the trade literally got Joe a win.
But the thrill shot says you got him a win, and I'll be actually quite annoyed, Danny, if Rico Dowdle's the reason I lose to Joe this week.
Oh my God. Dude,
I hope I don't lose to Joe this week, but if I do lose to him, and if it's because of Rico Dowdle, I'll be annoyed.
Nobody listened to me when I said that Rico actually had value, and he goes out there and has a solid week and gets Joe a dub. Joe getting a dub alone is probably the win of his season, to be honest. So shout out.
I'm not going to say anything negative about Joe's team because you know what? It's not going to look good if I lose to him, if I say something negative about his team.
For sure. The Durbez, we turned off super chats. They're all through the site now. So it is pinned again, flockfantasy.com, purchase code FSE. You guys can submit your super chats over there because it's just more beneficial both to us and to you guys. And so we will go to
YouTube
the next
takes such a big haircut of the super chats. Honestly, like I'm telling you guys, you're wasting your money putting them on YouTube. Like hopefully they don't take us down for me saying that, but it's a way better way to support us. It's more fun. It's easier to go through. Again, I know it's a bit of a learning curve and you guys have probably been following our streams for potentially years and we've done it the same way all the time. But again, just bear with us on the learning curve. I think it'll end up being better in the long run.
For sure. So we got another question here. Running backs are Chase Brown, Javonte. We'll get into in a second because I feel like the flex decision is the biggest one. And I have a very clear option that I'm going with here.
Are you going to play Wicks over these guys?
Absolutely, I am.
So I have JSN ahead of Wicks, but I think it is really close.
I have Dontavian Wicks as my wide receiver 20 this week. I have him over Terry McLaurin, T. Higgins, DJ Moore, Xavier Worthy, George Pickens, JSN.
Yeah, I mean, I have him at 25, and I really like him this week, and it's music to my ears on my Flock League team because I grabbed Dontavian Wicks last Saturday before anything happened there, before he got the starting job. So, yeah, I feel quite good about that. I'm just going to close the drapes behind me because I realized that my niece my future niece and nephew and my sister-in-law are running around with their kids behind me here.
And real quick, you're going with Chase Brown over Javonte?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going Chase Brown this week.
All day, baby. I mean, we talked about your Flock League team. Hopefully my team can get that boost from Chase this week. Appreciate that from the show. Got another question here from Brian. Appreciate that. I'll be chat if further clarification is needed. Also, thoughts on trading Tyreek for Kiren. So he says he isn't in the chat, so appreciate you if you are watching right now. Got some lineup decisions, of course. Quarterback. I mean, we can both agree on
Kyler, I think.
Absolutely. We are on the same page there. Running back, Bucky, Brian, or Trey Sermon. It's going to be Brian Robinson for me, and then assuming that he is out for this game, the pivot would be to Trey Sermon. I do like Bucky Irving, but I think Sermon, it's looking like Jonathan Taylor is going to be out for this game.
Yeah, he's missed practice 2 days in a row. I could even make the argument, like I think it's maybe a little irresponsible to do this, but I can make the argument he's almost a better play than Brian Robinson, even if Robinson's playing through the injury.
If he's playing through the injury, okay, that's fair. Because if
he was 100% healthy, no. Yeah, but if Brian Robinson suits up and is limited or playing through the injury, I could make the argument that Sermon's the better play, assuming Jonathan Taylor, of course, is going to be out because the matchup is so good for him. Yeah,
so actually two things here. So the lineup, and he also has thoughts on trading Tyreek for Kiren. I wouldn't, personally.
I would ask you what your record is currently.
Yeah. Yeah, are you 1-3?
If you are 1-3 and you absolutely need the wins, and you
get a plus,
upgrade your starting lineup.
I mean, it would with Sermon in his lineup.
Yeah, for sure. But like healthy B-Rob, like he's a great play most weeks.
Yeah, I mean,
like you're gonna be weak at wide receiver if you're doing that. To be honest.
Also, I'm sorry, but like, there's no way you're playing Wanda over Tyreek.
Yeah, no, you're definitely not.
And then of these other, okay, so we'll just go through the other options. First of all, again, assuming you're 2-2, 3-1, 4-0. Again, different discussion if you're 1-3 or 0-4.
You don't want to sell Tyreek now. If you want to be buying Tyreek now, I literally put out a TikTok today. Andy was in our trade targets video that he is one of the biggest buys in fantasy, especially if you are 3-1 or 4.
Is this Christian? This is Christian.
It must be Christian,
2-2. Yeah. It's Christian. Yeah, shout out, brother. Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't be trading Tyreek for Kiren like we were saying. In terms of the other question, though, it is
B-Rob would be the answer, assuming he's healthy here.
Yeah, assuming he's healthy, but if he's not healthy, man, I might ride the fucking Leggett train. Choo-choo, man. That guy looked fucking good on Sunday.
He did. Yeah, Harmon charted him, and he said he looked great, too. I mean,
dude, I feel so vindicated by that, too, bro, because we knew. Like, look at us.
You're going to play him over Dell?
Oh, fuck it.
Or Wandale if there's no neighbors?
I would do over Wandale specifically because if there's no neighbors, I'm actually very concerned that he's not going to get the same Mickey Mouse usage because what else are you scared of on the perimeter if neighbors isn't there?
That's a fair point. The one thing I will say against Leggett is that the Bears are nails. Yeah. They have nails corners, man. They're good corners. So it would be kind of challenging knowing that you have a pretty good secondary there. If Dell is a full go, man, I think that's probably my answer to this question.
Yeah, I think that's probably the easiest answer, though. I mean, like, I don't know what it is, man. Like, Legette's just one of those guys I want to force into my lineup, and then after the week, I'm like, why did I fucking get so ambitious? You know what I mean? Like, he's one of those guys. I still have him as a top 35 receiver, but like you said, the process is, I mean, Tank Dell's attached to the number one pass rate over expectation offense right now with no Mixon, and you just can't fade him and CJ Stroud.
No, it's somewhat of a tough matchup, I suppose, for Tank Dell in the passing game, but it's still definitely worth it.
So Derbez, if you ask it on Flock, fill in, like, for example, we had it earlier from Jay Farrer where he put in a random trade, and then if you just leave in the comments a question, we'll be happy to get actually read the comment. It's not like we just click it without reading it. We'll see exactly what you guys are asking before that. So yeah.
And you guys, it chops what we say on the live stream and sends it back to you guys. So if you guys are ever going to miss the stream too, it'll be sent to you directly. So you don't actually have to tune in and wait for your question to get answered. You could theoretically, just ask the question, or like a lot of people submitted their questions throughout the day today. and they could just get the answer as soon as, we get it to them and it gets sent back to them before kickoff here. So
sure. We got one from Willis too. So we do have about 15 minutes to kick off, so we'll make sure we are timing it accordingly. Chief and I are the only two contenders. Really, does this trade help or hurt me? Do I just stay put? This is a redraft 10-team league. It does mention here. So he'd be giving up Zay Flowers, Javonte Williams, and Josh Jacobs, and receiving Swift, London, and Polk. Again, he says that there's only two contenders, so it sounds like he's saying it's a dynasty league. So, I mean, we'll answer this from a redraft perspective and a dynasty perspective.
I'm assuming it's a dynasty question if he's saying contenders, but
I agree. Again, we just want to make sure he's covered because it is listed redraft. So I just want to make sure we don't give him the wrong answer here. In a dynasty league, I mean, London's the clear top asset.
Yeah, I can make the argument. I don't know if I necessarily go this far yet, but I think that Polk and Jacobs might balance out in terms of value over the next couple of games.
Yeah,
like as of now, Jacobs is more valuable in Dynasty, but I could see Polk and Jacobs balancing out over the next couple of games in Dynasty.
Yeah, like unless you're desperate for running back as the top contender, like you do mention you're the only two contenders. If you are desperate for a running back, I don't think it's terrible buying Jacobs. But now, with that being said,
I don't want to give up.
I don't want to give up London
for Flowers. I don't want to do that.
Can you get up to Jacobs in a different deal than this? Because I don't want to give up. I think London's got back end wide receiver one upside rest of the season with the usage he's getting.
He does, yeah. He's literally only Malik Neighbors has a higher first read target share, as I talked about on Wednesday.
Oh, he's given up this side. Okay, yeah, go get London then.
Yeah, go get London. Yeah, if this is a dynasty trade, definitely go get London if that's the case.
Again, hopefully you're watching this full explanation. Again, if you filled it out wrong or not, we're making sure you're covered. Appreciate you for that.
Sorry, Nash is in the chat. I need to shout him out quickly.
Yeah, big shout out there.
Welcome.
Looks like we got a couple other questions. Is this wait? This is the same question. So if I go back, if I exit it, it'll be good. I'm just gonna
it'll still be going. You just need to just go back into it to refresh.
Just making sure we are covered there. Take off the team reviews. Okay, so we are good now. Okay, so Sawyer, Jake has two questions, and then Peanut Gallery. So first one, plus 35 to my side as well. Remember that in the trade. Have Wilson, Neighbors, McConkey, Wicks at wide receiver, wanted to upgrade at tight end. So he would be receiving McBride, Allen, and $35 fab for Pitts and Metcalf. Honest to God, I love what I'm seeing for Metcalf right now. I'm not trading him.
Yeah, I would say it's a pretty steep.
Yeah.
Like, dude, Metcalf has been outstanding. McBride,
he's a wide receiver one for me rest of the season.
McBride is a set it and forget it, locked and loaded tight end one, and Pitts is not. So that's obviously great that you're getting.
Braylon's more of a contingencies play. Like you need a better asset back. Like, what would it need to be realistically? Like, would it?
If you were in need of running back, because that's why you trade for Allen in this situation, and this was like
B-Rob, like.
You probably wouldn't get quite that good of a back, I would imagine.
I wouldn't do it for anything less, dude. That's what I think Metcalf is rest of the season.
No, that's fair. I think in terms of balancing out the deal, like maybe you want it, like if this was Brooks or Chubb, maybe.
Yeah, and even still, like I want to keep Metcalf, dude. Like I love what I'm seeing. Like the only week he was bad was when he played fucking Pat Surtain, who's done that to everyone.
Yeah, Pat Surtain is putting together
he's so good.
First team All-Pro type of campaign here.
For sure. So again, good concept. I understand why you would do it, but also like I don't want to give up Metcalf is where I'm at. So again, appreciate that, Sawyer. Jake, basically
quick interruption I have for you here, Danny. The boy in the chat, Sal.
Hey, let's go. Appreciate you, boss.
Absolutely
appreciate
elite.
You.
Really appreciate that, Sal.
Appreciate you, brother.
We don't actually do too much for members, to be honest. I'm going to be completely honest here, but if you guys do, I guess, want to skip the line in terms of like chat questions, we will answer member questions the way we were doing with supers potentially before. Sure. And speaking of that, again, appreciate it, Sal.
Yes, Jason, sir. Appreciate you, brother.
Sit one PPR, JSN, Evans, and Wicks. We're going to disagree. I would sit Wicks here. You would sit JSN, I'm assuming?
Yeah, I'm not sitting Wicks. I mean, the game environment, the attachment, obviously, with Jordan Love, the snapshot now with Christian Watson's out. Like, if you're not going to play Wicks, like, you don't draft Wicks if you're not playing him in this spot is where I'm at with him.
Yeah. How does gifting memberships even work? Can people just claim them? Like, how does it even work?
So it goes out to random people in the chat that don't have one. So yeah, appreciate that. Also, Sal, I know you're going to enjoy the clip that I just put in. I talked about, I'm like, I mean, you're the Italian guy, so I have to also act a little bit overtly Italian. I'm sure you're going to love that as well. So shout out.
Yeah, for sure. Also, this is insane, bro. Just made
What?
this deal for JJ.
Wait, what?
What does this mean for JJ?
I don't
I'm
know. Maybe he fucked up and then okay. The Mayfield Gibbs trade was an error on my end. This is the real trade. Okay, so appreciate that. I mean, you didn't have to super twice, but I do appreciate you there. So I guess he wants us to go to the next one here, and he sends away Wilson plus Mason in return to Justin Jefferson. Honestly, if you're good with depth, I don't
He
mind
said he was
going out there.
4-0. He
Yeah,
said
I
he
mean,
was 4-0 too. As much as this hurts my soul,
go get
as
Jefferson.
somebody who drafted Wilson over Jefferson in our flock league, let me just quickly address the elephant in the room, by the way, on me taking Garrett Wilson over Justin Jefferson. I was swinging for ceiling in the first round, which maybe was stupid, knowing that I was swinging for ceiling and the best receiver in the league was on the board. So I will admit that was flawed process. I will, however, though, stand by the fact that it was definitely within the range of outcomes that Garrett Wilson was this year's CeeDee Lamb. I think the process was flawed. This is not me saying process over results. It was definitely a flawed process, but I think the ceiling swing was still valid, even though it didn't work.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I understand why you did it. Now, I roasted you at the time for doing it because I didn't agree, but you at least rationalized it. So I understand.
Yeah, Nash, of course, was handing
shout
out
Nash.
You weren't the only one. You're right. I was not the only one.
Shout out
Badaki also
Badaki,
passed on Jefferson, but I think we all can probably agree that AJ Brown will be a lot better than Garrett Wilson once he's back on the field.
I mean, we could talk about it right now. I ended up not taking a receiver, but you can very easily make the case I should have taken Jefferson over Breece Hall.
Yeah, you could make the case for that. And then I think Bijan went after you picked, and Chase, Mason took Chase too. Yeah. Jefferson's definitely the winner here, as much as it pains me to say.
Yep. Got a question from Peanut Gallery. No comments here, but 12 teams start 9 PPR 2 quarterback league. So holy crap, this must be a dynasty league because there is a lot of fucking options for the lineup. I mean, Addison, Hubbard is a great play.
Hubbard is literally an RB1 in my rankings this week.
I don't blame you. I mean, Fryer missed the tight end with Laporte on bye. You're not starting any.
Yeah, definitely Fryer missed at the tight end spot.
Yeah, like
who else is available there? Hubbard to me.
Hubbard
is
very
option.
easily. He's a top 13
option.
running back for me too. And then this question would be just Jordan Addison, I believe, from what it looks like.
I will give Jordan Whittington a shout out too. I think he's a good play this week, but Addison is the better play.
Yeah, I think like Whittington and even like Tolbert to a degree with no Cooks have some upside. But to me, I think with what Addison does from a big play standpoint and how the Vikings offense has looked, I think you got to go that direction. But yeah, I think like these two especially are like good like flex options in deeper leagues pretty much where I'm at, like top 48 level receivers. So now with that being said, Addison's top 32 for me. So again, appreciate that. We'll go to the next question. This is the one again, Goodell. Make sure you fill that out. We'll cover you with a free one for Sunday, considering I've asked you for the last couple of days, but hopefully that is fixed for you. We answered this, I believe, so we will go Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, it might be. You might want to need to refresh it. It kind of.
Yeah, I think that's what's happening. So we will do that again. Exit stream mode.
Also, yes, hook 'em horn. Jordan Whittington, Texas, great.
Yes, sir.
Also, Dylan in the chat saying who wins. Come on now. He's talking about this trade. Never mind. I thought he was talking about Olave or Zay Flowers and Worthy.
We're caught up on supers, by the way.
I want Olave there slightly, to be honest.
So we'll go through some of the member comments, and then we'll go through to the comments at the top. So appreciate that. JT gets gifted a membership from Sal. Again, shout out Sal. Looks like Gio was as well. Again, appreciate you for blessing all the boys in the chat. Blessing all the boys and girls, in the chat. So appreciate you for that, Sal.
We do have 4% women in the audience. We do need to shout them out.
Probably not here for my cherry hest. Wow. For my cherry hest. Awesome.
For your hairy chest.
Fucking Christ. Yeah, anyways, we'll go back to the YouTube comments, and I'll keep refreshing in case we get any more here.
Yeah. Also, a quick shout out while we have a little time out here. This is my pick'em slip for tonight. If anybody is curious, Drake London lower than 12.05 fantasy points, half PPR scoring. I think he's going to have a tough time. Zion McCollum is his primary matchup, who's the highest graded corner in the NFL right now. According to PFF, he's having a monster breakout year. Jamel Dean, also a top 15 graded corner. I like Chris Godwin higher than 33.5 first half receiving yards as well. Mike Evans in shadow coverage against AJ Terrell. I think the game script is going to dictate that the Bucs are going to be having a hard time running the ball as well. So I think with Evans covered up, Bucs having a hard time running the ball, it's going to be a big Chris Godwin day. And I like Kirk Cousins to throw an interception today as well. The Bucs are an attacking defense. Like we blitz, we go after the ball. We have ball hawk corners and safeties and players in the secondary. So I think that there's a good chance Cousins throws a pick in this one. He's actually thrown 4 interceptions this year in 4 games so far too.
Yeah, and I'll touch upon mine and make sure we get at least a couple of free comments, unless we get one on the site. You can refresh out right now. I'll share my pick'em slip. Again, you guys would have saw that earlier today on the shorts. I'm just going to make sure that it is uploaded right now. Give me a second.
While that's uploading, I'll just give a quick shout too. If you guys do want to tail my picks or Danny's picks here, of course, to Underdog Fantasy, use promo code FSE. You'll get your first deposit matched up to 1,000 in bonus cash. And the link for that is down below in the description. And you can also add in this new customer free pick of Kirk Cousins higher than a total yard if you want to go with that as well.
Yeah. I'm going to need to download this new one because it is way better for the end of my shorts if I just throw that on.
Yeah, no, it is. The Underdog sent this one over to us a couple days ago. I meant to tell you about that.
Yeah, that's good comms. In terms of mine, higher 8.5 Drake London first quarter receiving yards. We mentioned the overall target rate in the last 3 games, over 40% in each of the last 3, one of the biggest alpha receiver ones in the NFL. And I mean, you're doing the math, 8.5 first quarter receiving yards. He gets 1 target. He converts it. More than likely, he's getting 8.5 yards. We love that there. Cade Otton higher than 5 targets. I believe this actually gone up to 5.5 since I made this pick. So appreciate that. The usage in the last 2 games has been great for Otton. I'm actually starting him in the flock league tonight, even though Corey does disagree with that.
Yeah, this seems like a copium pick'em. And to be honest, if I were you, I would bet the lower on his targets just to reverse jinx yourself.
Maybe. I don't know. I like the way he's involved in your offense. 92% of the routes in each of the last 3 weeks, 17% target share. Like, this is like good tight end usage. And again, maybe it is Cope. I mean, we're gonna be double positive by the end of the night is all I'm thinking. And then Chris Godwin higher, 68.5 receiving yards. I mean, we talked about it all week. The Falcons are the worst team at guarding the slot wide receiver position in the entirety of the NFL, give up the most yards of any team in the NFL. And Chris Godwin, I mean, we know he's playing the majority of the snaps in the slot. I love to call him Cooper Godwin. I love to call him Christopher Kupp because that's what he is in this offense for Liam Cohn.
Yeah, not to mention, too, I saw Fantasy Points Data tweeted this out. The Falcons run cover 3, I believe, at the highest rate or 3rd highest rate in the NFL. And Chris Godwin's like top 5 in yards per route run against cover.
I saw that. So
he's also a very good option in that situation.
Both Evans and Godwin over 3 yards per route run against cover 3. 42% of the time, I believe the Falcons are running it right now. The thing is, though, is that we expect Evans to probably face the majority of coverage from AJ Terrell. And we also saw that Cade Otton this year against cover 3 versus other coverages, 0.99 yards per route run against cover 3.
You're starting him, by the way. 0.99 yards per route run. Anytime you can get that.
1.84 against cover 3, like I was saying.
Yeah.
And the Falcons.
So he's a functional tight end against cover 3 defenses.
Hey, 1.84 yards per route run is more than a functional tight end. That's actually a pretty good one because what do you think Kyle Pitts' yards per route run is right now?
Probably urine. Probably absolutely terrible.
You think it's 0.99?
Yeah. For what it's worth, too, if you guys are like betting this game too, I think I'm biased, obviously, but I think the Bucs plus 2.5 is just the freest cash of all time.
Hey, shout out, Cheeky. I can't do that given the current market, Cheeky. We both know the majority macro market right now has Walker and Bijan pretty close. I can't give you Mixon as well. Like, that was too much.
Yeah, that's a little steep.
Yeah, so again, appreciate you. I will.
If you want to sell Cheeky, if you do want to sell Bijan, hit my line. James Cook might be on the table for you.
Yeah. And Lemony also says, just got gifted a membership. Thanks, y'all. No, I appreciate Sal. Go thank Sal.
We didn't do shit. Good shout out to Sal.
If you guys haven't already, of course, make sure you do check out Sal over at Sal Vetri on YouTube. Does a ton of great content. He is actually in the Flock League with us.
Significantly better editing than our videos.
Yeah. Let's just say the production is quite different over there. So again, appreciate you, Sal. Got to give you your flowers and appreciate you for the consistent support you've shown over on the stream. But
also, Danny, let me know, would you do this in our listener redraft league? Would you play Darnell Mooney tonight? And assuming that Malik Neighbors is going to be out, or would you wait on Malik Neighbors, seeing if he's going to play, and then just play Chase Brown if he's good?
I might just play Chase Brown over Mooney, period.
Yeah, so I should probably just wait on Neighbors and see. Might as well, right? If he clears it Saturday afternoon, there's no way you're sitting him.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I have no decision in the fucking listener draft or redraft league right now. every single player I have, I have 4 players on bye, and I also have Mixon and Mixon and Brian Robinson currently in my lineup who are expected out.
Yeah, I'm trying to check my rosters right now because I'm nervous.
I'm comfortable putting Polk into one of my flexes, but I'm gonna have to fucking figure it out. I probably shouldn't say that out loud since everybody in the league is probably watching this right now. But yeah, I will have to make a move. You could have Bijan. I mean, I could have Bijan. It's just, unfortunately, it was a little bit too much for my liking. It's funny, by the way. I'm not sure if you checked the chat, by the way, in the Discord.
So no, I did not.
I blurred out Cheeky's name, but Cheeky knows this. But Cheeky in the message was like, I threw up your offer in my counter on Mason's live stream, and the first thing he said was that he was terrified of trading with you. So shout out Mason.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you've lost every trade that you've made, like Mason has, then you probably would be terrified of trading with anyone. And for what it's worth, Mason offered me Lad McConkey for Tank Dell, I think a week ago. And I was like, that's an interesting offer, but I don't think I'm going to do that. And then he goes, yeah, good, because I was worried I was going to get fleeced again.
Bro. So for context, what Cheeky's saying, by the way, so the initial offer I offered him was Kenneth Walker, Brian Robinson, and QJ for Bijan and Jordan Addison. And he countered with Mixon and Walker for Bijan and Addison. Now, actually, I know you have Brian Robinson straight up over Mixon, so you'd actually prefer the counter. For me, I have Mixon as a top 8 to 10 running back for me the rest of the season. To me, I think Mixon has RB1 upside. So it's just a difference for me that I really just value Mixon as to why I don't want to make this deal.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like the one thing about Bijan too is while we're still very bullish on Bijan, we do recognize there's a scenario where Bijan is not an elite RB1 rest of the season. There is a scenario in which Bijan's RB11 on the season. And he underperforms yet again. It's possible. I still think he's going to bounce back in the workload and all that kind of stuff, but it is possible that he's not, just this elite goated. Speaking of Jose goated, gifting some memberships here. Appreciate
you. Yeah. By the way, too, we also have one more question. It looks like over on the site, so I'll make sure Derby is answered here because it just came in right now. Can we remove my? Yeah. Okay. This was the wrong view.
Also, Nash not loving a Mickey Mouse Texas Longhorns fan like myself, saying that Bijan might not be that good.
Hey, appreciate you, Jose. Yeah, shout out Jose, by the way. Been helping him on Discord. So he actually booked a consultation with me before the season, helped him draft his draft. And I mean, his team is just fucking money. So yeah, appreciate you for the support. You didn't need to, but I mean, yeah, I mean, a lot of people are already
the game started, so we better answer this quick.
Yep. Yeah, okay. So we will get through this now. Running back not decided, doesn't even say here. It isn't super flex. Need help with the flexes. Also don't know if I should hold on to or drop and get AR help. So unfortunately, when you submitted this Derby, you didn't leave any options for the flexes. Now, again, we will be happy to help you. We'll leave this in the pending. If you have any comments to follow this up, feel free to get to us. But unfortunately, as currently constructed, we can't answer the question because we actually don't know who's in the question.
Yeah, and if you're in the chat, Derby, just let us know and we'll answer this quickly before we go off of the stream. But yeah, you do, when you're selecting the players to go through, you have to actually select who you're deciding between in the UI here.
Yeah, and to make sure you're fully covered. Again, if you have a comment, feel free to comment question. Feel free to comment to us. We'll make sure you get that before Sunday morning. Or, I mean, unfortunately, if it had something to do with Thursday night, again, we can always make sure you're covered for a future question. So again, apologies for that. We can't really answer as currently constructed, but we'll make sure you're covered regardless because you did pay for the question. We'll make sure you're good.
For sure. Yeah. I appreciate everyone for sticking around. Shout out to Nash. Shout out to Sal, some of the fellas in the chat as well. Hopefully we get a Buccaneers win tonight. That's what we're hoping for. Hopefully you guys get what you need in your fantasy matchups. I'm going to head off of here because I'm actually being very antisocial at the moment because there's a bunch of people up at this cottage or this beach house that I'm at right now for the Airbnb. So appreciate you guys. Peace out. Go Bucs. And hopefully you guys win your matchups this week.
Yes, sir.